Well, now we're going to move on to our last segment, and it's called Muffins of the Week. So we have 3 different types of muffins. We have the Stud Muffin of the Week, we have the Bran Muffin of the Week, and we have the Dud Muffin of the Week.
Expand upon Bran Muffin so they understand.
So obviously you know what Stud and Dud Muffins are. Bran Muffin is the unsexy player that you still want to play because he's going to get you some points. He's going to be either consistent or going to be hot for a while. So my Stud Muffin of the Week is Alvin Kamara. Christian McCaffrey ran all over the Rams a week ago. I mean, not just running, but caught passes too. That's what Alvin Kamara is great at, right? I mean, he can do both. I think he can get more than 150 total yards, at least 1 touchdown. It's not going to surprise me if he gets 2. So in a half-point PPR, he's going to get 30 or more points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
not even a bold statement. So.
Yeah. No. Well,
it's not a bold prediction.
I mean,
no, I'm just saying.
I could make a bold prediction, but
you're absolutely right.
That's probably his floor.
It sounds bold, but truly.
Yeah. Eric, what about you?
Okay, so for my Stud Muffin this week, I went with Cooper Kupp. I think you brought up this game earlier. Vegas has it as a 52 point over-under. So obviously they're expecting a lot of points. New Orleans has Lattimore, who I'm assuming is going to shadow I'm assuming Brandon Cooks, but it could be Robert Woods, whoever they decide to take out. I'm assuming that person's not going to have a great week. So that leaves Cooper Kupp kind of in the middle against a safety. And that's when he really starts to shine. I mean, he had a decent week last week, but first week back from the injury and stuff like that, a little rusty. I just think with that defense and this offense, and it's probably going to be a high-scoring game, he has a huge week. And, he's a touchdown monster, and he didn't get that last week. And I think he can get at least 1, maybe 2 this week. So I think he's going to be really good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I say, my Stud Muffin is Keenan Allen. So I know he had a great week last week, and I expect nothing less from him this week. So Fitz went off for 113 and a touchdown against him last week, or against Detroit, I'm sorry. Keenan Allen had 8 for 123 and a touchdown. I see him around the same stats at least. I mean, we don't know what Mike Williams is going to be, or we don't know if he's going to play or what his health is going to be, but on or off the field, I don't care. I think that Keenan Allen's going to get his 10 to 15 targets that he's going to get, and he's going to produce.
Yeah, and you have to assume Austin Eckler doesn't do what he did last week, so Some of that production probably goes to the receivers.
Right. Yeah, good point. Okay, now we're going to run around the table here and do our Bran Muffin of the Week. Mine is Derek Carr. He's going up against Kansas City this week. He's playing at home. They're going to have to score points to keep up with the Chiefs, right? So, and we just talked about it earlier in the trending up segment, or at least I brought it up about the Raiders offense. And I mean, it looks better than we thought it would. At least it looks better than what I thought it would. They've got a couple of good pass catchers at least, if not maybe one that they need to groom a little bit more to bring in. They've got Josh Jacobs, who can also catch passes. But, I just feel like, he's a little unsexy because he hasn't done that well for the last couple of years. But I believe this week, and maybe even moving forward, he's gonna be somebody worthwhile to play if you have him on your team.
Yeah. Okay, well, sticking with that same game, my Bran Muffin is the person he'll be throwing it to, and Tyrell Williams. In my mind, Tyrell Williams is not this great number 1 wide receiver, but he is their number 1 wide receiver, and he's going against that Kansas City defense, and that defense, unfortunately, doesn't look any better than it did last year, really. So there's going to be a lot of points scored, and, last week he had 6 receptions on 7 targets, he had a touchdown, 105 yards. I mean, that's a pretty solid week against a decent defense by all accounts. Right. So I'm assuming he's going to do something similar, so I think you should play Tyrell Williams even though he's unsexy.
Yeah.
Plus matchup for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine's Jamison Crowder. I don't expect him to get his 17 targets, but I'm going to put my weight in thinking that it was more, last week's target share was more about Adam Gase than it was about Sam Darnold. I know we've got Trevor Siemian coming in, but we know Adam Gase loved Jarvis Landry. He loved to feed him the ball and overfeed him, and he loved the slot receiver. So I think Jamison Crowder is that exact same guy. He may have a stat line for 10 catches for 80 yards, but I think I would take that with the guy that I'm just throwing in there in the flex.
Yeah.
Okay. So now our Dud Muffins of the week. Mine is Cortland Sutton, and he's going up against the Bears. if we can agree that Devontae Adams was a little better wide receiver than Cortland Sutton, and maybe has a better quarterback throwing him the ball than Cortland Sutton does, then we can compare that against last week when Devontae Adams only had 4 catches for 36 yards.
Yeah.
So I don't see the Bears defense giving up much to basically the number 1 receiver for Denver. So if you have Cortland Sutton, I highly recommend finding someone else to play this week. I just don't think he's going to do anything.
Yep. Okay, my dud muffin this week is Marlon Mack. People were real high on him going into the season, and now he's even higher on people's minds because he had a great week 1. But they're playing the Titans, who held Nick Chubb to 75 yards. I personally think that Nick Chubb is a better talent than Marlon Mack. So you've got that, and not only that, you don't know the target share. I mean, he had more targets in week 1 than I think he did all last year. But Nyheim Hines is still there, and if they get in a negative game script and they don't trust him as the pass catcher, he could be the Sony Michel of week 2.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, so my dead muffin is Aaron Jones. I'll stay with the Packers. It's hard not to start him with the draft capital that you used on him, but with LaFleur coming in, we've had this debate before. We just have no idea how they're going to call that offense. So, and I don't trust Aaron Jones. I don't trust Aaron Rodgers, at least, to run the ball and to use their running back. They play Minnesota, who held the Falcons to 75 rush yards last week, and 24 of those came from Matt Ryan. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously the game script was flipped, and it was a little outlier of a game, but I don't see Green Bay moving the ball any better on them, at least through the running game.
Yeah, well, to that point, I think him and Jamal Williams had a 50-50 snap share split, so it's really hard to trust him in that offense right now.
Okay, well, that ends our muffin segment. Do you guys have any last comments?
No.
All right, well, that's our show for today. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so please send us an email at dynastyguysff@gmail.com. That's dynastyguysff@gmail.com. And follow us on Twitter under @dynastyguysff. So thanks again for listening, and good luck on your 2019 Dynasty football season.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good one.